righty.
Hello, everyone.
I'm getting an echo, Joel.
You're getting an echo?
Yeah, I'm getting an echo.
I'm not hearing it. I guess chat will let us know if they're hearing an echo.
Yeah, if you guys are hearing double, let us know here. We'll get this fixed. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and continue here. It's like a 3-second delay. I'm hearing all our voices in the background.
It could be your headset.
Yeah, probably just. Okay. I'm going to take my headphones off because this is going to throw me off here, but I'm going to still have my mic on. This is interesting. I've been having some technical difficulties here, but let's go ahead and try this. All right. All right. So we do have a level 1 out of 5 risk tomorrow in the UP. It's going to be for the west central parts of the UP here. It's going to be just off to the west of the UP. We have a level 2 slight risk out there. It was brushing into Ironwood, but that got shifted west at the 1:30 p.m. update today. The hazards tomorrow are going to be primarily large hail as your number one primary concern with this, followed by damaging winds that does get cut back. It's cut back to the west towards Houghton and Ironwood there, so not the full risk scale. If you compare it to the marginal extends over further to the east, but the wind is cut back west there. So hail is going to be a primary threat for all the risk areas, and wind primarily over there toward the western half of the UP. Tornado risk is there was one brushing in there to the western part of the UP there, but it does not. It did get shifted to the west there. Okay, sorry, Joel. You want to go ahead and just lead it because my headphones are glitching like mad.
No, you can go ahead. I mean, we can still hear you. Just every once in a while, it sounds like you're like way back here.
I don't know what's going on. I can try something. Switching my mic if you want me to.
Yeah.
Give me a second here.
And Alex is in here too.
Hello.
Yes, hit that like button while Ryan fixes his headphones. Thank you, Dawn. But we're looking at 2 days of severe weather here. Tomorrow, Wednesday the 12th, and Thursday the 13th, before we get into some hotter weather. As Ryan's been covering right now, we're going over Wednesday first, and then we'll cut into our Thursday forecast. I don't have control of the screen, so.
Oh, neither do I. Good evening, Fordo. Uh-oh. Well,
like the black screen of death.
The black screen of death, and we like it. Well, like Joel was saying, yeah, 2 days of severe weather out ahead of this big heat dome that's expanding out here. Oh, we got Ryan.
Fixed it. All right.
Let's go ahead. Since everybody's on cam, I'll switch on cam too here.
Hey, Alex.
Hey.
Lovely face. All right. Jump right back into this. Marginal risk for the UP, Western Central UP tomorrow evening. Large hail is your primary concern. Damaging winds a secondary concern further west. Currently not seeing a risk for tornadoes from the SPC here.
Want to share your screen?
Yeah. It's black screen.
Bear with me. There we go. All right. Let's try it again. Marginal West Central UP. Large hail is your main concern. Damaging winds cut back further to the west. No tornadic risk currently in the state of Michigan. And then as we look at some models here, the reasoning for that shift to the west is primarily due to the amount of instability that's going to be available tomorrow. Looking at a blend of all of the models put together, the brighter blues and yellows here indicating higher instability that would support severe weather. Grays are just kind of marginally supportive, not really supportive much at all. But it does, bear some watching here as we're getting close to 1,000 joules of CAPE on the surface, which is what we want to see, basically over 1,000 for this time of year. And it primarily stays to the west here, over here in Minnesota and parts of western Wisconsin. Doesn't really push into the UP much, if any at all. I mean, obviously there's some there, but nothing significant pushing into the UP. That's why the risk is highest off to the west. So as for the models here, looking at the NAM3 and the HRRR model, going through tonight into tomorrow, We're going to be seeing those showers off to the west there. This is going to be 6 p.m. here. This is 7. Here's 8. Here's 9. And here you go into the 11 o'clock time frame. Just some scattered cells here. Not much is popping up on this model for the UP. We're seeing a similar picture to that over on our other model, the HRRR. Looking at the UP for tomorrow, we're going to see some scattered showers here across Minnesota and Wisconsin. But up in the UP, we stay dry until that 11 o'clock time frame. That'd be the chance for a passing shower there. But even this model doesn't really have much of anything significant impacting the UP, perhaps down here in the southeastern or southwestern part of the UP, but overall not seeing much of anything significant. And that's likely due to that lack of overall support storm fuel, the lack thereof. So the risk tomorrow does appear to be on the lower side of things, but the takeaway from this is if we can get a storm to fire up somewhere within that green zone tomorrow, the dark green zone to be specific, that would be the main driver of the severe threat. But right now, the confidence in coverage of storms is quite low. Other than that, the wind shear does look pretty decent tomorrow. We do have some good ingredients there. It's just we're lacking that one big trigger and not trigger, but more so the storm fuel to get these storms up and going and sustain themselves. So that's tomorrow. Main time frame for tomorrow would be likely after that 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern time frame. There is central time up there in the UP, so adjust accordingly if you're watching from up there. So after the 9 p.m. ish Eastern time is going to be the storm expected arrival. We could see a passing afternoon shower up there as well. Chance for that is lower on the lower side of things. So main concern again after 9 p.m. Eastern. Okay, that's for tomorrow. We do have a risk in place here for day 3 for the entire basically the entire lower peninsula of Michigan. It does exclude Detroit, Port Huron, Monroe, Adrian, Ann Arbor. It does exclude those areas, but likely going to see an expansion with the latest guidance here. Let's go ahead and jump into the model really quick. So we're going to have a shortwave moving in, which is going to basically trigger, or what could trigger, showers and storms. We're looking at the instability tomorrow. We're seeing that overlap pretty much through the entire state here, from Gaylord all the way down to the border. It's not, overly concerning, like strong on this model. This is a blend, by the way, but it does extend all the way through southeastern Michigan here as we get through the afternoon evening time frame. So the takeaway for tomorrow, looking at the models and stuff like that, is we're going to probably have a line or perhaps lines of storms as early as the morning time frame, but these shouldn't be severe. The main concern comes later on in the afternoon. These storms right here be the concern. This is at 2 p.m. on this HRRR model here, and still not seeing too much concerning. This only goes out 48 hours, so we're capped at 2 p.m. on the afternoon on Thursday for this model. We do have the NAM3 popping up here for a similar time frame, but we can go a little bit longer. Looking at how this model plays it out, we do have those morning showers and storms across portions of the state. This model says northern Michigan, but as we get into the afternoon hours, this is 11 a.m., we have some storms developing up in northern Michigan, and it tries to form a little bit of a line here, if we can kind of make it out from roughly the thumb all the way back down here toward Kalamazoo. It doesn't look as potent further south and west. This model does fire up more storms the further north and east you go. But as we get to the afternoon and evening hours, some more pop-up storms are possible as that shortwave moves through. And those will be passing through at peak heating, which should allow instability to be at its highest. So that's not expected to be a concern. And if we do get the instability there, which is as modeled, it does meet a good environment wind shear wise and also lift wise to get storms up and going for severe weather. All right, so looking at the overlap of wind shear and instability on this model, we're going to look at the coloration. The brighter colors indicate a more, should I say, dangerous environment. This is for Wednesday night there. We see the Western UP is in a good environment there. As we get into Tuesday, though, we're going to see that environment shift over here into lower Michigan. That's why that risk is in place. So takeaway from this would be time frame as early as 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Likely going to be a little bit later on, though, probably 2 to 10 p.m. as a general rough time frame for severe weather. Could see showers and storms outside that time frame, but would still be concerned for just severe weather between the 2 p.m. and 10 p.m. time frame. All right. Did I miss anything, guys?
No, you look good. It's covered everything. I would say for tomorrow, generally as a rule, as this heat dome expands and builds in, that's the reason these showers and thunderstorms are going to be developing in the first place, as that instability builds. The one thing to look at tomorrow, especially for the UP, is how those thunderstorms in Minnesota and Wisconsin really develop, because as that instability builds, they will be diving to the east, southeast, and southeast as they ride essentially that ridge. And so as they develop, blow up, and then eventually merge over the Minneapolis, southern central Minnesota area, and eventually dive southeast, how that affects any upstream storms potentially in western northeastern Wisconsin, the western central UP in the evening will be key, because as you keep looping that radar, you can see multiple potential rounds of thunderstorms. When thunderstorms develop like that, they'll essentially potentially train over the same area. So thunderstorms will blow up, develop over that instability, and then leave tracks for new storms as that instability builds behind the first line. And then a new line will form right along that same line and train over the same general areas. So if we have that, like that model shows, it would show less potential for the UP. But if we can get some storms to develop isolated, potentially up in the UP, then we could get some isolated severe weather up there, which is why, as Ryan had mentioned so well, that the risk is lower in the UP compared to Wisconsin and Minnesota. But it's a wait and see game. What models simulate and versus what actually happens are two different things.
And also going off that, summertime patterns such as the one we're going into here, models don't always do a good job handling these systems. So we can see surprise pop-up storms that become line segments and stuff like that. So it's really going to come down to like how things play out, like Alex just mentioned, for tomorrow. Because there's a lot of influences that models can't see, like boundaries and stuff like that, lake breeze stuff, that can be present but not modeled. So
Yeah, all it takes is just one slight deviation in any type of storm that develops. So if the storms develop, let's say, further north towards the arrowhead of Minnesota, up towards International Falls and Duluth versus southern Minnesota, that would put the UP in much greater risk, because as they move east and dive southeast, if they're way further to the north, then they would kind of crash into the UP later on versus heading to the south into Wisconsin later tomorrow. So that's something to watch as well.
I see a question here in chat. What are the hazards for Thursday? That's a great question that we did not cover.
Yeah.
So main hazard would be if we get all the ingredients coming together, damaging winds would be the primary concern. Large hail is a secondary concern. I wouldn't write off an isolated tornado or two in the state, although the wind shear right now doesn't appear to be favorable for that. Although there is enough, let's rephrase that. There really isn't too much spin in the atmosphere to get storms to rotate, but we do have a good amount of shear. So that would support your damaging wind, but probably a lower end tornadic risk here in the state. So damaging winds, primary concern, large hail, secondary, and then also a tornado or two possible in the entire state.
Yeah, speed shear.
Yeah, we have a lot of speed shear. And also just kind of mention this as well. Upgrades possible. I know there's a couple questions in chat about the upgrade. We were in a slight risk yesterday. They took that away. We could see that being brought back, but also expansion of that marginal into Southeast Michigan, I would say is likely at this point, given the model trends today.
Yeah, and like Ryan had mentioned briefly, these type of patterns, as we get into summer, these MCS, these convective system type patterns, we can sometimes see risks shoot way up, vice versa, way down as well. From the Storm Prediction Center, we've seen days where we've started out overnight in the marginal risk to by 12:30 in an enhanced risk as storms fire and move this way. Not saying that's what's going to happen this time, but we have seen these risks change pretty significantly in a short period of time. So just because, as Ryan said, we were in a slight risk yesterday, which was a day 4 outlook, to a marginal risk today, don't assume that the risk is decreasing. Just means that there's still some general uncertainty in the next couple of days. So they've painted a broad brush area of a lower risk, and we're just kind of in a wait and see pattern. So as Joel likes to mention a lot of the times, that SLIM model that he likes to, it's a very good model to use. shear lift, instability, and moisture. We do have those ingredients coming together. It's just we are a few days away to kind of really pinpoint exactly how these storms will form. So that's the nice thing about it, is that we're kind of here to give you that first look and that first alert to the potential of severe storms. But as we move the next 12 to 24 hours for the UP and eventually the next 24 to 48 hours for the Lower Peninsula, we'll be able to kind of fine tune those areas. So if, for example, you're sitting there in Ann Arbor and Detroit and thinking, well, I'm just outside the marginal risk, that's it. I'm not in there. Well, that may very well change by the time we wake up tomorrow morning and you're included. So that's why we're mentioning everybody in southern Lower Michigan for Thursday, because these risks can and will change.
Difference between tornado and downforce winds. So tornado, you're going to have in the damage path kind of like swirling motion. So usually we look at trees and stuff pointing in different directions, whereas downforce winds are any sort of straight line winds that we see. All the trees would be blown in one direction, as well as any like structural damage as well. So that's kind of your difference maker when it comes to those two. When was the last time we had a northwest to southeast moving system? Was that August last year?
That was, yeah.
It's been a while.
It's been a little while, yeah.
After the August 24th bow echo of last year, we really didn't get too much of anything after that for the year.
No.
Joey, SPC watch party tonight. Personally, I'll probably sit that out. I don't know if Joel wants to do it himself, but we may do one tomorrow night for Thursday. We have a lot of work to do. I know I have a lot of work to do. I think Joel and I are probably going to get together tonight as well. We have some stuff going on behind the scenes we're working on. Really hard to do. So we're going to try and focus on that. But we'll probably do one tomorrow.
Lots of stuff behind the scenes, stuff that you all will love coming soon to a theater near you.
True. Mike's asking, so for all slim ingredients, are they all there Thursday? In some capacity, yes. We'll know more probably when HRRR covers that.
I think the main two concerns for Thursday would be your source of lift, but also not your source of lift, but more so your trigger to get storms up and going, which that shortwave is obviously the trigger. But most models, or the models that we have, don't really convect too much of anything. That's number one, but also two, probably your instability. Just kind of watch if it goes any higher than 10, or should I say 1,000 to 1,500. See if it goes closer to 2 or so, and see if we can get some more juice for these storms.
And another thing to point out too, especially, we are just only getting into the convective allowing models right now anyway. They're just only picking up on this, and when we get situations where you get an expanding heat dome coming towards the area, so you get an expansion of instability, heat, and humidity, the models tend to sometimes underdo that heat and humidity. We're really dry right now. We've been dry the last couple of days, really low dew points. So as that moisture advects in, the models sometimes will underdo that amount of moisture, and there are some known biases with our convective allowing models as well when it comes to instability and moisture because of that. So that is something to factor in as well as to the reason why they're not convecting, to kind of go into like the background science of it. When you have a source of a lift like a shortwave or a cold front, and you have some of the parameters in place, if that forecast model underdoes the dew points by even 5 to 10 degrees, you can have convective inhibition stay longer with that cap, as there is that source of dry air underneath that is not allowing the convective temp above to be breached with that cap. So that is possibly a reason why you were seeing stronger storms up in the thumb and northern Lower Michigan, where there is a stronger shortwave just overall moving through. So you see in the morning, overnight, Wednesday night, those first rounds of showers can sometimes precondition the atmosphere. So as that shortwave comes through that area of enhanced moisture with the showers in the morning, that model may just then convect as that instability moves in, as there's less of a cap in place compared to further south.
I actually haven't even checked the cap yet. Is there actually a cap in place for the system?
I don't think so. If there is one, it's probably pretty weak.
Yeah, I haven't really checked anything. That was just, one of the guesses as to why they're under convecting.
Yeah, there's no cap at all.
Oh,
Sweet.
cool.
What's up, Arkansas? Good to see you in here.
What's a cap? So a cap is your atmospheric lid. Prevents updrafts from becoming stronger. You can still have updrafts, but they're pretty limited as to what they can do. So yeah, no cap means stronger storms. Or if it just snaps and disappears instantly, you can also have that be another way of firing up storms pretty quick.
Lansing at risk for a tornado. The risk for Thursday is quite low. We're not going to get too specific on that just yet. Let's wait till we get closer to Thursday. Let's talk again tomorrow evening. We'll discuss that risk at that point.
Remember, no matter what risk zone you are in, as we saw with Livonia this past week, you got to take it seriously. Even if you're in marginal and even if you're in probably thunderstorm category. It could be a couple of you guys in thunderstorm category on Thursday, yeah. So
Matthew, I wouldn't rule that out, no, although I'd say it's unlikely. But as Alex mentioned before, things can change very quickly, so don't be shocked this gets upgraded or downgraded.
Yeah, we could see things change pretty quickly. If tomorrow we see the forecast model start convecting storms, more coverage, especially in the Lower Peninsula on Thursday afternoon, unlike this right now, we could see that risk definitely go up, higher category, maybe to the slight risk level, or even potentially enhanced depending on the coverage. But again, the opposite. If the coverage is less, like this model shows, they might just maintain the marginal risk. Hard to tell right now.
Can we see the pattern move in again? I just got in. You want to loop that or no?
All right, so here is Wednesday night. Pretty much nothing popping up in the UP. Although if any storm does go up, they could be severe. And as we get into Thursday, this model does convect storms further to the north. But again, the environment across pretty much the entire lower peninsula is going to be supportive of severe weather. That's what you meant by pattern. I do want to mention, though, if you guys have not watched that video we posted on YouTube called Summer is Coming, you may want to, because we're talking hot temperatures on the horizon.
Mm-hmm. Summer is coming.
We may be talking heat indices close, if not over 100 degrees in the next 10 days. So be a good watch if you guys have not done that already. Brittany, yes, southeast would be a good movement for these storms. Wind speeds at 60 miles per hour really is going to be the baseline. Could see it isolated higher, but that 58 mile per hour thresholds really are severe. 60 is just kind of like the baseline, like we throw it out there for any type of severe criteria. So 60 is going to be the general expectation. If we do get like a bow echo less developed and mature, we could definitely see some higher ones, but the chance for that happening in Michigan tomorrow is quite low, I think. Although not zero, I'll just say low. Yes, Catherine, it's going to be humid with this heat surge. It absolutely will. And speaking of that, that also may spark additional showers and storms as we get into next week as well. If we get any more short waves in the ridging, we could definitely see some more storms get sparked off. SPC updates for both day 1 and day 2 tonight at 2 a.m.
Late night crew. I don't know if I'll be up tonight, but tomorrow night, maybe.
Do you expect us to get more severe weather for summer starts? Honestly, Brandon, we're just getting started with our severe weather season here. June is the peak, really. If you want to talk about like later years from like 1990 onward, July, August is our peak. But June, July, August, really, we're just getting started with storm season here. So we got a long way to go.
Yeah, we do. Up until this year, being so active so early, the last couple of years, the big events really for us have been June, July, August.
This year was a little bit different just because we had severe as early as February, which is it's not uncommon to see that. Although past couple of years here in Michigan, we've just been kind of confined to that late spring, more like summertime pattern. So getting tornadoes here in Michigan in February kind of caught people off guard. So
yeah,
and severe weather can happen anytime, any month, any time of the year, even back in December and January if it's warm enough. So
yeah, you get those big powerhouse systems in the winter, December, January, February. That as long as there's a feeding moisture from the Gulf.
Probably no watch party tonight.
No,
maybe tomorrow.
I got a lot of stuff to do.
Tornado Alley moves depending on what month it's in. That's kind of like the comment I roll with, honestly. It's not set in stone. It's always just changing.
Mike says, bit confused. You say not overly concerned for tornadoes on Thursday, but all ingredients are there. So for severe weather in general, we use SLIM, but for tornadoes, there's like individual breakdowns of SLIM. For example, your shear. We can have many types of shear. Speed shear, which increases with height. And then we also have directional shear, which turns with height. And there's also spin like SRH, your helicity values, vorticity, stuff like that. That goes into forecasting tornadoes. So just because we have wind shear, we have to dive into what kind of wind shear we have. And the wind shear that we do look to have on Thursday wouldn't be overly concerning at this point for tornadoes, although we're not going to lock that in until we get closer to that time frame.
Want me to take the comment about weather apps?
Yeah, go for it.
Sure.
So weather apps are great for if you need to check if you're heading out the door in the morning and you're just really quickly want to see what the high is supposed to be for the day. It doesn't really dive into details unless you get like a really, I guess, state-of-the-art weather app. I don't know how many there are out there, but there's also the misconception of it never usually shows like nighttime weather as well. I believe Apple has changed that recently, but I know other like news apps, they kind of they're lacking a little bit, and they don't obviously they have text, but they don't show you the full picture. So that's kind of what we're doing here, is showing you the full picture. They don't usually put the SPC outlooks on there, so that's what we're kind of doing as well. And of course, you have the model runs, which are also usually not on weather apps. So that's what we're here for. We're glad to help you guys out with that.
Brandon, unfortunately, we do not do ride-alongs for legality purposes.
For some reason, when people say what's the biggest weather event in Michigan in the 2000s, I always go think of like winter storms and such. For some reason, it just takes me back to winter storms.
I mean, we've had a few when it comes to tornado outbreaks versus derechos, or just classic mixed mode severe weather events. I mean, there was a few in the early 2000s. 2001 was an extremely active year for tornadoes in Michigan. May of 2001, we had the most recorded tornadoes in the state of Michigan at one point for a calendar day. October 2001 was another severe weather outbreak for generally the Michiana area. 2007 in October, we had a strong QLCS move across the state that had a lot of wind damage and embedded tornadoes. We've had some pretty decent derechos move through. 2011 and 2012 are years that we had big derechos, including the 1-2 punch derecho, which was a morning derecho that moved through, and an evening derecho that moved through that same day. And then we've had plenty of severe weather events in between. Honestly, when it comes down to it, for me personally, there's been so many severe weather events. It's the big ones that that will stick with you no matter what for your specific town. If you've been hit by a tornado, I'll give the example earlier this year in Portage. For most people in the city of Portage, they got hit by a strong, very strong EF2 tornado, almost EF3 tornado. That's going to be their biggest severe weather event ever. And that's compared to, Grand Rapids. If you live in Grand Rapids or that area, you might have had a big severe weather event in the 2000 that sticks with you. Same with Flint or Saginaw or Detroit or Mount Pleasant or Sheboygan. No matter where you live, each event's going to impact you differently. So it's kind of hard to say what the biggest event in the 2000s were because we've had a lot. Yeah, the May 31st, 98 derecho. That was, 98, not the 2000s, but that was probably arguably the biggest derecho for Michigan.
Flint will always have the 1950 Flint Beecher tornado.
Yep.
That'll probably be the historic one, at least for a good long time.
Yeah, and then you have the Hudsonville-Standell F5 as well.
Portage only had one tornado.
Just one tornado in Portage.
Yeah, there was never a second one confirmed.
Yep. There were 2 tornado warnings, but not 2 confirmed tornadoes. Hurricane Huron.
Hurricane Huron, yeah.
Yeah.
Any more questions, guys, regarding tomorrow or Thursday? Do have that risk tomorrow for the west central UP if storms can get up and going. Big confidence question mark really on coverage of storms up there. So we'll keep an eye on it if need be. We'll be live, obviously, here on YouTube and Facebook. We're never going to miss a severe weather event here in Michigan. So if you guys happen to live up there, we'll be watching. And again, on Thursday, we had that risk for pretty much, we're going to call it the entire Lower Peninsula.
Yep. So kind of sum it up, day one or tomorrow will be Upper Peninsula show. And then Thursday will be Lower Peninsula show. I'll have a timing map up for tomorrow sometime tonight. I'll do a timing map for our Thursday system sometime tomorrow when we get the HRRR runs coming in.
Yep. So like Joel just said, to sum it up, and Ryan, tomorrow, UP show, Thursday, Lower Peninsula show. Those are your threats again tomorrow. For the UP, generally speaking, evening into the overnight hours, probably after 7, 8 o'clock. For the Lower Peninsula, generally a 2 p.m. to 10 p.m.-ish time frame. And again, that's your first call for times. We will, again, like Joel said, have a timing map out, and we'll be refining those maps over the next day here, starting out with the UP risk tomorrow, and then for the Lower Peninsula on Thursday.
And yes, for those of you who are just tuning in, you can go back and watch the start of the stream, rewatch if you want to on YouTube and Facebook. Bear with us, though, because there's about a 2 or 3 minute lag there where I'm having headphone issues. So skip past that part. But yes, you can rewatch it.
The race tomorrow in Marne, it should be good on the west side of the state. Again, that thunderstorm category doesn't really include much of the lower peninsula for tomorrow. So for the most part, everyone will stay dry in the lower peninsula, except for points probably north of US 10. And as a reminder, these outlooks go until from, I believe it's 7 a.m. to 7 a.m. each day, or 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. each day. So that thunderstorm line could be like at the very end of the outlook.
Yep.
All right, I think we're good to go.
All right, guys.
All right, thanks for watching.
Thanks, everyone.
If you have not already, hit the subscribe button to the channel. And also, if you want to be notified anytime we release a video or go live, feel free to hit the notification bell as well. That notifies you anytime we post any sort of content here on the YouTube channel. So with that being said, we'll be live again tomorrow, probably afternoon, for a updated briefing, and then as well as potential coverage of any severe weather that happens tomorrow up in the UP. We'll have updates for Thursday. Likely to have a briefing in the evening at some point throughout potential coverage to do a briefing on Thursday's risk as well. So with that being said, we're going to hop off here. You guys have a safe night. Enjoy a beautiful evening out here. That's all I got.
Yes. Have a good evening, everyone.
Have a good evening, everyone.